Hi, I'm Rob Elshire from GFANZ. I'm here today to talk to you about birds in the clouds, a comparison of cloud-based genome assembly for Pūkeko. So what is cloud computing? From a user's perspective, it's unlimited capacity, many cores, many machines, heaps of RAM, storage, and more storage, and the operating system images are provided, full control over software installed, and someone else makes sure everything is there ready for you to use. There aren't any queues, and you pay as you go only for what you use. When I talk about cloud computing here in Aotearoa, the question that's always asked is what's the difference between Nessie and the Catalyst Cloud? The more general question really is what's the difference between legacy high-performance computing systems and cloud computing? In this slide you see that it's color-coded. Green means it has that characteristic, red means it definitely doesn't, and amber is kind of somewhere in between. So you'll see that on the left, there are the points highlighted in blue are the definition of cloud computing. It has to have all 5 of these characteristics to be cloud computing. And you'll see that cloud computing has those characteristics, of course, and you'll see that the legacy HPC systems, in the places where they're red, they don't have those characteristics, and where they're amber, they maybe do, depending on the way the system's set up. We also see provider installs and maintains software. So this is true for the high-performance computing systems. There's somebody there that you have to contact and install the software for you. Not so much for the cloud systems, but our project is actually aiming to bridge that gap. You can see that some users can install any software on the cloud. It's open standards based, and it's portable between open standards based providers. So you can develop something for the cloud and move it around to other cloud providers. You're not locked into any particular one. So we at GFANZ have been working on building a public bioinformatics platform. The point here is to increase the productivity of the professional bioinformatics scientists, making it easier to do the job, but not necessarily faster. It brings along end-to-end reproducibility, it's accessible to anyone, anywhere, it's cost-effective, open source, and cloud native. In this slide, we see a schematic overview of the project, the collaborative platform, the tool repository, the orchestration, and the graphical interface. You'll note that there are many parts in green which are ready to use now, and other parts are continuing to be developed. So how are we building this platform? It's a collaborative volunteer effort with people from our local cloud computing provider, the Catalyst Cloud, and GFANZ. The Docker containers were created by participants in our Cloud Computing Workshop series, and the cloud computing for the workshops are supported by an educational grant from the Catalyst Cloud. The work that I'm talking about today was done in collaboration with Gillian Gibb at Massey University. And the aim of this research is to use genomics techniques to investigate the loss of flight in birds. Jill attended our Cloud Workshop series and created the meraculous Docker container using our infrastructure. So the Pūkeko genome was first assembled on Azure, and we did it again using the same parameters and the same data files with Jill's Docker container on the Catalyst Cloud. In this slide, we see the technical comparison between the assembly done on Microsoft Azure and the assembly done on the Catalyst Cloud. You'll note that there are some small differences in these 2 runs, and this is due to the stochastic nature of the genome assembly program, where a decision is made at some steps, essentially using a coin toss. The fact that these are very, very similar runs allows us to be confident that we can compare them generally. One thing we often want to know about is how long does something take and how much did it cost? In this slide, we see that doing this assembly on the Catalyst Cloud took 2/3 less time than on Microsoft Azure. And you'll recall that because this working in the cloud is pay-as-you-go, the less time that is spent on the cloud computing, the less it costs. Another cost comparison that might be useful is around the cost for doing the assembly, the computational work, versus generating the data. So in this case, DNA extraction, library prep, and sequencing costs about $3,300, and the time on the Catalyst Cloud was about $150 to do the assembly. So that's about 5% of the total data generation and processing costs. Now, we didn't include labor in the data generation cost, so if we did, this computing cost would be even less. On the right-hand side of the screen, we see the time that it took to do each step on the Catalyst Cloud computed as a percentage of the time it took on the Azure Cloud. This is because every step took less time in the Catalyst Cloud, and it makes it for an easy way to compare. So if you look at the second to the last step, the gap closure step, That was by far the longest step in the entire process in both systems, but you see that it took substantially less time on the Catalyst Cloud. Thank you very much for listening to this talk. We'll have more workshops in 2021. Please reach out if you're interested in participating. Thanks again.